there, Capricorn. Welcome to your end of June 2023 General Tarot Update. It's Raina here. I should have said this before I picked the cards, but I was saying, now that we're in Cancer season, relationship issues can come to the fore because the sun is in your seventh house of committed partnership. You'll have a new moon here in a few weeks and in July, but and you've already had Mars and Venus through this area, so there may have already been kind of stuff happening that relate to that. Yep, here we go. Ten of Pentacles. And Pluto back in your sign, so that's very interesting. I like that. You love to see that. Okay. The heart of the matter is the Three of Swords. Is there any area in your life where you feel that you are hurt from someone's rejection of you? Now, remember that when we say or hear the word rejection, it takes us aback because we feel that sense of like it's like a slap in the face, feeling that we're not good enough or something like that. So this can be anywhere in life. It could be a partner, a job, we don't get the promotion, or we get laid off, and we immediately tell a story about it. And the interesting thing is that sometimes the other party is telling you a story about what is happening, and that may not even be true. Like, for instance, I'm one of those people that I do believe that sometimes, like, if a partner strays, if they cheat, that sometimes it might be that they felt lonely because you're working 12 hours a day. But the thing is that if a person uses that as a legitimate reason for doing what they're doing, that's lame because obviously if they never mentioned that they felt that way, it's almost like blaming that situation, using that as an excuse. But I do think that in some cases it is possible that people act out, what they're feeling because it's hard for them to understand what is motivating them. Maybe in retrospect they go, oh yeah, so I felt vulnerable because this was happening and that's why I did what I did. But in the moment, they may not really connect the dots. But that doesn't completely absolve a person from responsibility, obviously. So the reason that I'm bringing this up is that people who do things, they tell stories too, and it's easy to buy into that story without, it's like both ways we can believe things that are not true about a situation. That's what's so genius about a contemporary spiritual teacher like Byron Katie, because she came up with this program, or I don't know what you want to call it, this process that you can do called the work. And one of the things that you ask yourself about any situation that is problematic in your life is it true? Meaning the things that you're saying about this situation, so that you can, see if your perspective is really honed in on what is happening, or you are reacting to it, and kind of like your subjectivity is clouding your better judgment. So in the past position, we have the Six of Swords, and this can be a even like a move of some sort, a physical move, but it is about choosing peace over the conflict that you may have been experiencing. So if we look at the Three of Swords as a card of rejection, the Six of Swords can be like if you're married, separating, so that you get a little bit of space so that you're able to, come to decisions that where you're not being influenced by the person, the other party. And I think that that's a very helpful um, thing to do. Or even if you're not, legally married, but you're living with somebody, it's having that kind of an in between period of time. It's kind of like getting your thoughts together, if you will. But it's also removing you from that contentious environment. So, again, with the seventh house activations that are coming up and even into, July, of course, uh, and you are going to have a full moon in your sign. I have the astrology forecast for Capricorn for July. So just look on my channel for that because it can give you more insight into the transits that are occurring. But yeah, that it will also involve the seventh house because, it's opposing, the full moon always opposes the sun. So it's a great time to really take stock in whatever it is that has been going on. And sometimes this might be like a legal matter that has nothing to do with a personal relationship. The seventh house can be legal affairs. So the Six of Swords is really about you attempting to kind of move away from that. You know how some people, it's almost like they love the drama and they almost go towards the drama. This is about pulling back. The higher message is the Ten of Wands, which is, you see the beast of burden in this drawing, this illustration. And it really symbolizes what this card represents. So Ten of Wands, Wands can, is fire energy, but it's, and so it could be somebody who is of the fire element, I would say Aries, but this is actually, I think this card might, I don't know if this card is connected to Sagittarius, but Leo is the other fire sign, that person is weighing you down, and that it's like so much work dealing with this person. But other than that, I would say that it might be that you are enabling, that you're codependent about a situation, you're putting in too much, or that you did put in too much. So let's say that you got passed over for a promotion, and one of the things that bothers you about it is that you stayed overtime. You did, everything that was asked of you, and you still didn't, somebody else that, just came in off the street the other day, they had the promotion. Why, when you did all this work? And really, I think that this happens sometimes because a person doesn't value themselves enough. It's really great to be able to help others, even like in a workplace situation, especially if you're trying to get ahead. But sometimes, especially if you're working for someone who isn't really appreciative, or they may be very biased, they might be very prejudiced type of persons, which when I say prejudiced, I mean subjective. So they might just like a certain type of person because it reminds them of themselves, and you might, kind of be different than how they typically, what they value or what have you. And so they're not going to treat you fairly necessarily. Not everybody gets treated fairly. And some people, what happens is they try even harder. And that's the mistake that people make, because there's nothing you can do with those types of people. They're going to always have something against certain people because they have a lot of biases. They're not very open-minded, And, they choose to think the way that they think. But, we have to be confident enough that we don't need everybody's approval. And yes, of course, in the workplace, you might simply be thinking in terms of career advancement and not your own personal feelings, but it can still shake out the same way. What crosses you is the Ten of Pentacles, and this is the card of affluence and generational wealth. And it's, because even in love readings, you can read this card for relationships. And really, this is almost like symbolic to me of, the fact that I actually think that Capricorn is connected to that sign. I keep forgetting to look it up, but you're Pentacles and you rule the 10th house, so I put that together. But in any case, the point is that this is supposed to be, this represents inheritances, generational wealth, and sometimes, Capricorn people are really oriented, family oriented, and love that idea. Part of the reason people are family oriented is they love that idea of continuity and like each generation, carrying that tradition and things like that. But also, it's like building an empire when you bring in the financial side of things, and like a corporation or something. Capricorn and its ruler Saturn are all about structures. That's why they're involved in the government or all these different areas with hierarchies and things like that. Well, when you're with the wrong person, you can't build it because the foundation isn't right. So it's kind of showing that. And especially, it's funny because if somebody gets hurt because this is happening, they fail to see that this is actually a blessing in disguise, that they're dodging a bullet, instead of being with somebody that is not trustworthy. And maybe this is an inheritance issue. And perhaps you feel cheated out of money, family money, for instance. And maybe the will was kind of a shocker to you. You expected that it was going to be something other than it was. And so that might be something, because you did, with Mars in the 8th house, and I don't know exactly when it's going into Virgo, but that could indicate a fight over shared resources. And then you're also going to have that Venus retrograde in that 8th house, and Venus can be money. So there could be definitely some Capricorns who are dealing with this in terms of an inheritance. But they're, again, telling a story. If you have maybe a close family member and they left you out of a will, or they gave you a pittance compared to other family members, and then that breaks your heart, if you really do some soul searching, you may realize why that happened. And it's not necessarily anything against you. It could be that person felt envious of you. You never know what somebody else thinks, or they, there's just so many possibilities. And it's not, once we know who we are, nothing can shatter that. But until then, it can make a person question themselves and question their worth. What's coming in is a Lover's card. Now, certainly, this may be a situation. Oh, yeah, that's another thing about the Three of Swords, is that it can be a three-party situation. And the Lover's card can be, this is actually connected to the sign of Gemini, but it can speak to having to make a choice. Now, if let's say that you separated and you have another person, or even if that individual that you separated from, if they had been cheating and you left because of that, you have a choice to make, obviously. And you have to make that choice coming from the highest potential outcome. Because, like when people like make decisions out of fear, um, that is in the short term, it may placate them or comfort them to think, oh, I'm being safe, but it might not be the best decision in the long run. So think about what it is, and it might not even be as it pertains to you and your needs. You might be thinking of your children. You might have altruistic reasons why you want to do this, but it still might not be the right decision. Um, I'm trying to think here. Yeah, there's a lot uh, of activity in your fifth house, Capricorn, and that's a house in part that deals with love. So Uranus is there, Jupiter is there, and these are two planets that can be very freedom oriented. And so it can lead a traditional sign, especially Uranus, to kind of be more experimental or less attached to needing, Capricorn is one of those signs that they would want to get married. But the funny thing is that even a Capricorn person, if they lose money in a divorce settlement, that might be the one uh, motivating factor that would cause them to reject marriage in the future. Even if they have found somebody that's a life partner, they may stay unmarried because they just don't want to deal with the financial angle of it, and they want to keep their own money. But yeah, I mean, if you're involved in a three-party situation, you may choose the lover. If you're the one that's doing the cheating, I don't think that a lot of Capricorn people are like that. Although I had somebody write to me once and said, "Oh, Capricorn," just completely dogging out Capricorns. And I thought that was, did they say Capricorn men? I thought that was funny because I don't believe that, but any sign can cheat. I mean, that's what made it kind of amusing. Obviously, that person had personal experience with that in a negative way, and so they were resentful, to say the least. The outcome is the High Priestess. So this is bringing the spiritual into this situation, which is always a great idea because it elevates it. It's not just some soap opera. It's not just some hot and heavy affair. It's like, what is my higher self telling me? Especially if you have a choice to make. And it's right under the Ten of Wands. So it's really about, when people are working so hard to achieve something, and, in Law of Attraction and Abraham Hicks, they talk about going upstream. That's because sometimes that pushing against these obstacles is because the person is fear-based and they can't just allow. And somebody mentioned that the divine feminine is magnetic, and so it is kind of allowing things to happen. I really enjoyed that explanation because I get it. We're always in that masculine energy trying to make something happen. And there is a divine masculine where you're kind of taking charge of your own life. So there's not, it's not saying that that is the wrong thing to do, but sometimes you have to yield. And that's the high priestess is all about that. It's like be still and know. And then everything else is more, you have more awareness of it. And with Pluto back in your sign, that to me is part of the process where you're really deep diving into your own psyche and trying to figure out what motivates you to do what you do. Not looking at other people, even if you feel that they have done you wrong in some way, but really looking at yourself. All right, Capricorn, that's what I have for you. I hope that this resonated. If you would like a private reading, I'm promoting my double readings called my deep dive readings. I just said the word deep dive and I thought about that. And they're a package deal, so they are a discounted price, an hour of natal chart analysis with an hour of transits. I also have a similar type of reading, but instead of 2 astrology readings, one of them is a full-length tarot reading called The Whole Enchilada, and I have standalone readings. You can find out more information at the link below. I'm at RainaMoonAstrology.com. Thank you for watching. Bye.